Okay, so I had the privilege of listening to The Fall Off. And I wanted to talk about why J. Cole's album, The Fall Off, keeps getting compared to Kendrick Lamar's body of work. Because I keep seeing comments where people are questioning the comparison and asking listeners to just let the album stand alone. But that's not how compilations work pertaining to albums when it comes to hip hop, and particularly J. Cole. And the reason why I say particularly J. Cole is because J. Cole has publicly critiqued Kendrick's catalog. He's said with his whole chest that he is the best to ever do it. He's telling us to check our closets for our favorite rappers for the evidence of their death. So once you start making those self-proclaimed claims, you don't get judged in isolation anymore. You get judged against the person that people believe holds the throne. And right now, that person is Kendrick. And if we're being completely honest, Cole himself created the benchmark. Nobody forced Cole into this comparison. He stepped into it. He critiqued Kendrick's art. He questioned the quality. He entered the big three conversation with dominance energy. So naturally, when he drops the fall off, people are going to hold him to task. Right, you're claiming you're the big dog. Okay, show us. And when you ask to be measured against the top, you don't get average analysis. You're going to get surgical comparison. And that's exactly why people are lining it up next to Kendrick's albums. It's not necessarily to tear Cole down. I believe Cole has a great pen. But because he made Kendrick the metric. So let's talk about why people say it sounds like To Pimp a Butterfly or Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. For me personally, I believe this is because Cole is using similar tonal palettes and loose jam session type production. Listeners are subconsciously comparing the execution. And it's not because he copied it, because let's be real, hip hop, a lot of people tend to sample things that came about before they even could open their mouth to speak a word, let alone write a rap. So it's because, once again, the top dog, aka Kendrick Lamar, he has found a way to define that lane at a very high level. So naturally, people are going to want you to meet that expectation or take it a higher level. And I also want to touch on the album architecture, right? Like, let's talk about the real difference. Cole can rap. That's not the issue at all. The difference is the album architecture. Kendrick builds albums like films. When you listen to it, you have a way of visualizing everything that he's talking about. There are clear arcs. It's intentional. Tight track counts. There's no wasted time or motion. It doesn't feel like there's filler in this music when you're listening to it. The Fall Off album is 24 tracks. Some tracks are double songs. And when you are creating long albums, you have to have extreme curation discipline. If there's even a little bit of filler, I, as a listener, am going to see that. I'm going to feel that. So I personally can say with confidence that when I listen to a Kendrick Lamar album, I can play it front to back with no skips at all. I cannot do that with the Fall Off album. And it's pacing. A lot of it has to do with pacing. And when we're talking about who's the best to do it, right? A champion level album feels undeniable the entire runtime. Another interesting thing that I want to touch on that I have not seen any other creator talk about yet is the title psychology. The Fall Off is a dangerous title because as a listener, I'm subconsciously evaluating your decline. Even if your album has strong points, I'm listening with the question in my mind, is this J. Cole's Fall Off? So that framing changed my perception when I listened to this album. Meanwhile, when I'm listening, once again, to the Big Dogs album, Kendrick, it doesn't sound defensive. I feel like he's making a statement. And there's a psychological difference, and it matters. And in my mind, I'm like, is J. Cole signing his own death certificate? This is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You signed your own fall off. We didn't put that on you. So here's my take and my truth about it. I feel as if Cole never critiqued Kendrick, if he never jumped in that ring and tried to get into the competitive space publicly, if he never claimed the throne, and if he didn't have a track record history of being a hater, okay, maybe the comparison wouldn't be this intense, but he did. So now your work is going to get placed beside the top dog. And when you challenge the top dog, your project has to feel structurally superior, not just lyrically strong. And unfortunately, it did not meet or even exceed those expectations. And I also want to touch on this. It just feels like a chore to listen to that album. It's like I'm writing a damn college paper. I got to worry about a thesis statement, a rebuttal, a damn defense, a resume, and it's just too heavy. It's like when you are inviting a listener into your space, it needs to feel like a lived experience. That's when it becomes replayable. I need for your music to build an immersive world that I, as a listener, can dive into without physically being there. And here's the thing also, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar's latest body of work, GNX, right? A lot of people say that they don't like it because it sounds too regional. Me personally, I feel like when an album is juggling too many identities, you're trying to sound reflecting. It's a competition. You're trying to prove something. You're trying to be lyrical and vulnerable and dominant and addressing beef and addressing legacy all at the same time. It's too many emotional lanes on one project. And if you're not good at, once again, allowing people to immerse themselves in that world, it's going to come across like you're doing too much juggling and you have too many identities. And it starts to feel like homework for me as a listener. So my final conclusion of the fall off is I expected more. But I also feel like J. Cole put a signature on his own decline. And that's where I'm going to leave this at.